I'd love to talk about, like, so what do you do, to avoid getting hopefully diabetes, pre-diabetes in the first place. And it sounds, Naveed, that you're literally living this yourself. So I'm fascinated. And you mentioned, I wasn't sure, was getting the dog part of this solution, but tell me, like, I think you've painted a pretty clear picture that you would really like to avoid this because of all the serious implications. So if someone's listening to this and they're saying, like, they want to make the right actions. Could you talk through, I think, based on your own research, but also I think fascinating to hear what you're doing yourself as an expert?
I mean, it's not even my research. I think it's based on the kind of global evidence that we know from all the randomized trials, all the various studies and around the world. The evidence base is the following, is that if you want to reduce your risk of diabetes, the key aspects are keeping as healthy weight as you possibly can. So, diet makes a big sense, and you probably all the listeners here are well tuned to that, and keeping relatively physically active. And those are the two major things. We cannot stop aging. The one thing I would also say, and I think I've hinted at this, Jonathan, I'm now 56. If I can delay developing diabetes till I'm 75, I'm far less worried, because if my sugar levels start to escape high level, I don't have many more years for that sugar to cause damage. High sugars immediately do not cause damage. It takes about 5 to 10 to 15 years. And also, the older you become to get diabetes, the slower your sugar will elevate, because it's less linked to weight gain. The younger you develop diabetes, it's more toxic. It's a more toxic disease because sugar levels rise faster. You tend to have to need more weight. The reason you tend to need to have more weight to trigger diabetes, because when you're young, you tend to have a bigger muscle because you're young, and your pancreas is healthier because you're young. So in other words, to overcome those, your better buffering capacity because you're younger, you need to stress the system more by putting more fat in the wrong places. But that comes with it all the other risk factors. That means your risk is much higher.
So you're saying, if I can hold it off till I'm 75, then at that point, maybe you could start to eat you could eat chocolate croissant all day. So there's other reasons not to think about
it. But I know that the diabetes then is it's.
But you're less worried about the diabetes.
It's not going to massively impair my life expectancy, if at all. It's not going to lead me to have raging eye or kidney disease or nerve disease, if at all. Whereas, so if you're in your 40s and 50s and you're in pre-diabetes, some small sustainable lifestyle changes, that means that you either stay the same weight, put on a bit of muscle mass, or else lose 3 or 4 kilograms and sustain that, and able to keep healthy with a little bit of activity to stop you putting on weight, means that you will probably delay developing diabetes for 3, 4 or 5 or 10 years, up to 10 years. And some people can delay it for a long time, or even revert back to normal sugar levels. So it's effectively improving your muscle mass, cutting your weight, ectopic fat, sufficient to de-stress your glucose control mechanisms.
And Naveed, could we talk a little bit about, I'd love to talk about what you've done yourself, and you touched on it maybe briefly, but I'd love to understand, it sounds like this is a real live risk for you. You described the fact that, like, both your parents developed it when they were very young, and it sounds like this is really on your, and it just reminds me a little bit of Tim when he's making his own changes for his health. Like, it sounds like this is live for you. What have you, how does it affect what you do?
I'm obviously fortunate to live, in an area with an ability to do more physical activity. I think the dog wasn't an effort necessarily to keep my diabetes away, but the side product of the dog is that I've increased my walking much more than I ever did before, and I enjoy it. I've now cycled to work for the last 10 years, and I love it.